Ethical questions have been raised about President Trump refusing to sell or place his private business interests in a real blind trust, about his frequent trips to his properties like Mar-a-Lago in Florida, about his self-promotion of his businesses like a golf course in Scotland while he is president. But this boondoggle has to take the cake. The U.S. Department of Justice has at least 10 highly paid lawyers and associates defending lawsuits against the president related not to his government activities, but to his ongoing private business interests. In an investigation by USA Today, Attorney General Jeff Sessions and the Justice Department have repeatedly refused to say how many lawyers are working the case, all of them making between $133,000 and $185,000 a year, plus the costs of their expense accounts, research, court fees, legal assistance and more. However, using the Freedom of Information Act as much as the Trump administration would allow, which is not much, USA Today has determined the government legal team is defending President Trump in 4 lawsuits stemming from his unusual decision not to divest himself from hundreds of his companies that are entangled with customers that include foreign governments and officials. In the cases, adds USA Today, Justice Department attorneys are not defending policy actions Trump took as president. Instead, the taxpayer-funded lawyers are making the case that it is not unconstitutional for the president's private companies to earn profits from foreign governments and officials while he is in office. Of course, it is well established that the Constitution prohibits a president from taking gifts from foreign officials in exchange for taking official actions because it is such an obvious conflict of interest. Add your name to millions demanding Congress take action on the president's crimes. Impeach Trump and Pence. Trump's lawyers, being paid for by taxpayers, argue that it is not a conflict because a foreign guest at one of his hotel, or someone who buys an expensive membership to one of his many golf clubs, or even someone who is involved in a real estate deal with the Trump Organization isn't directly paying the president, and, in turn, it is impossible to link that directly to a ruling or favor he does for that person or their country. The best comparison they can come up with to prove their case is that President Obama received royalties on the sale of his books around the world while he was president. That, of course, represents a more minuscule sum of money than a foreign official who stays at Trump's D.C. hotel near the White House, or buys a membership for millions of dollars at his golf courses where he can then bump into Trump in the club restaurant and get in a little lobbying. It is obvious that this is a great deal for Trump. USA Today estimates that private attorneys in Washington or New York arguing his cases would cost him at least $500 to $1,000 an hour. In each case, the lawyers spend many hours doing research, writing briefs, taking depositions and appearing in court again and again. The Justice Department, in what is not a surprise, refused to tell USA Today what all these lawyers and all this legal work is costing the government. No president has ever put the Justice Department into a similar position. This creates a historically awkward and unusual position for the public lawyers, reports USA Today. The result of their arguments in court is to protect the president's potential customer base. We've never before had a president who was branded, and it's impossible to divorce from that brand. Stuart Gerson, who headed the Justice Department's Civil Division under Presidents George H.W. Bush and Bill Clinton, told USA Today. It's blurring the lines, added Gerson, because it's so unusual. I can't think of a precedent where another civil division lawyer has been called on to defend the president under these circumstances. William Weinstein, a New York lawyer suing Trump in one foreign payments case, said, in the emoluments cases, you've got the DOJ defending his personal interests. In a Manhattan courtroom last month, Brett Shumate, a Justice Department Deputy Attorney General, claimed that foreigners in Trump hotels aren't actually providing foreign gifts because there is no proof Trump actually gave them anything in exchange. Shumate argued that the Founding Fathers never intended for a president's business to not sell things to foreign government customers was absurd. What is absurd is that if the high-priced government attorneys are successful, it is not the government or taxpayers who gain financially, it is Trump, his family and their private business. At a Senate hearing last month, Senator Dianne Feinstein asked Sessions how he determined it was appropriate for taxpayer-funded lawyers to defend cases about Trump's private, for-profit interests. Famous for his faulty memory, Sessions said he believed that the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel was consulted and apparently approved this unusual use of government legal power. We believe that this is defensible, sniffed Sessions, and we've taken the position that our top lawyers believe is justified. Both the Justice Department and the Office of Legal Counsel refuse to answer questions about whether it is appropriate for government attorneys to be working on these cases. You don't need Sessions or his agency to tell you what a boon this is to Trump, what a huge expense it is for the government with no return in sight, and how Trump is once again violating not just the law, but the tradition of ethics expected of every president. Until Trump came along. Just as he won't show his tax returns, Trump and Sessions have kept all of this on the hush as they work to raise the annual tax bill for middle-class Americans, and give corporations huge new tax breaks, all while Trump and his rich friends get huge benefits. Is this unfair, unethical, improper, a rip-off? Yes to all those questions, even if it is on the edge of being legal simply because the crooks are all government employees who can order up any outrage they want and insist it is for the good of the White House. It certainly does not directly benefit American taxpayers.